Hi, thank you for watching us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and other aspects of working for yourself, running a small business, being a landlord. So today we're going to talk about whether you can manage your own rental properties or whether you have to use an agent. Before we talk about that, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll easily be able to refer back to the information if you need to, as well as finding other information that we have available on a whole wide range of topics along the theme of working for yourself and running a business. So on to then actually you're a landlord. Should you have an agent or can you manage your own rental properties? So the first thing to say is it is the same as most things that we consider, that it depends. It depends on lots of different factors. It depends on how much time that you have available to be able to respond to things that are needed. It also depends whether you have the knowledge or whether you can easily gain any knowledge that you're short of to be able to do this. So let's talk first about the regulation side of things. So as a private landlord, there are something like getting on for 200 individual regulations that you have to comply with. Now, unfortunately, that's not to say that all letting agents know all of those regulations and you are responsible yourself for them. So even if you are using a letting agent, I would still suggest that you want to know broadly, especially the key things that will sort of cost you a lot of money or a lot of goodwill with your tenants if you're not complying with. But that can be one reason for using an agent, is not having to keep up with the constantly evolving changes to the regulation, as well as actually whatever the regulations are at your starting point. So if you are going to manage your own properties, we would strongly advise that you join the National Residential Landlords Association, who membership is £75 a year currently. So very cost effective, and they have a whole wide range of resources available to help you to know what you should be doing, to giving you the tools to be able to comply with the regulations, a whole load of training materials and newsletters and magazines to help you keep up to date with not only the changes in the regulations, but general best practice and the opportunity to network with other private landlords to find out what is working well and not working well for other people. So we do have a code that you can use to have £15 off your first year subscription, and that is DSG-228, and I'll just pop that in the description too. So if you are going to go it alone, I would strongly recommend that's a really cost-effective way of keeping up to date with the regulations. So that's one aspect. Then you have to think of the administration side of it. So you have to think that every time that you have a change of tenants or a change of anything changes in the tenancy agreement, you will be needing to advertise for your tenants. You'll need to be showing them around the property, taking references on the person you've chosen, and actually choosing yourself which tenant you feel is going to be, firstly, look after your property the best, and also equally as importantly, to pay you your rent on time and every time. So that can be quite a tricky tricky thing to gauge too. And then you've got to obviously do all of the regulatory side in terms of your deposit, in terms of your tenancy agreements, and then you've got to obviously then maintain your inspections throughout the course of the tenancy agreement. So again, that takes time and obviously a certain amount of knowledge to be able to do that. And quite a lot of agents, you will find, if you want to be managing your property yourself, they will offer a service whereby you can ask them to find you a tenant and reference them. But again, it depends on how good a judge of character you feel you are, because obviously you yourself may still want to have some input in that process, even if you're using an agent. So then the other thing again to think about is the maintenance. Do you have the ability to be able to fix things that go wrong, or do you have contacts or the time to find the appropriate tradesperson that's needed if there's if something goes wrong, especially if it's something that's urgent for repair. Again, it's fine if you've got your own network of contacts, but the agent will already have that. So it's the same as in your own property. It's always good to sort of go on a recommendation. So again, that takes time to be able to organise that. If you've got the ability to carry out the repairs yourself, do you have the time to do it? For example, if you work full time and you're away Monday to Friday, for example, do you want to be spending your weekends maintaining your property? What happens if something happens while you're away? So these are all things to think about. So trying to sort of give a fair view on both sides. As I mentioned earlier, some agents will offer a sort of a partial service. So even perhaps initially you might think, well, I'll have an agent do a certain amount just to see how things go, just till I sort of find my feet. And then you might think, actually, no, this works really well. And so I'm going to stick with this. Or you might think, no, actually now I'm going to take on certain elements myself. So, particularly with the repairs, obviously, if you're interested in maintaining your property to a high standard to retain its value, then if you have a repair to attend to, you may not necessarily choose the cheapest way to repair that. You may choose the way that's going to actually maintain the property for longer. So of course the agent will be looking on your behalf to get the repair done as quickly as possible and as conveniently as possible, and it may not be the most cost effective or the most long-term effective option. But again, if you can't get to the property, or if you don't know people that could carry out the repairs, then the repairs aren't going to happen, and then you're going to have a very unhappy tenant, and potentially, depending on what the problem is, potentially get yourself into trouble too. So these are the sorts of things to think about, and as I mentioned before, if you are going to think about going it alone, even if you're just going to do some of it yourself, would strongly recommend that it's very cost effective to join the National Residential Landlords Association for support and guidance. There are of course other sources of guidance, but those are the ones that we're most familiar with and feel and we know well enough to recommend. So if you do decide that you want to use an agent, so you can, the other benefit of that is having some distance from the tenant. So some people find it very difficult to say, to deal with confrontation or difficult questions, or if, for example, if the tenant's having difficulty paying, you may find you may feel uncomfortable exploring different options with them and asking them the questions as much as you may do at the time of that they apply. So again, this can give you some distance if you have an agent to be able to separate yourself and really have the income. Of course, they charge you for it, so there is a cost implication, but sometimes that can be well worth it. And it's the same as everything. As I always say, if you are looking to engage some of these services, then please do make sure that they are properly qualified for what they are, what they are doing for you. So in this scenario, make sure that they are fully qualified and you're going to a reputable agent. Try to get some personal recommendations, not only from other landlords who let their properties via the agent, but also from some tenants. Because of course you can get very different perspective of the same person from each side. So I hope that helps and helps you to sort of gives you some of the things to think about if you're not sure whether to use an agent or to manage your properties yourself. So thank you very much for watching, and as I mentioned before, please do take a moment to subscribe to our channel, and I will pop the discount code for the NRLA into the description. Thank you. Goodbye.